You nerve-wracking sons of bitches. Something on your mind?
Just want to let you know you're sitting in my chair.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Well, for a man that don't go heeled, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
No need to go heel to get the bulge on a tub like you.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
Well, I'm real scared.
Damn right you're scared. I can see that in your eyes.
All right.
Now, go ahead. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
What? I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work. I said throw down, boy. Oh! You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Listening to TV Ate My Dinner. This is the whoop-ass edition. My name is Sean, and I am sitting here with Brooks and Greg.
Yo.
Yeah!
What's up?
What?
Bring it.
Yeah, bring it, world. What you want? Yeah.
Bring it on.
I like how we start. We'll start every episode with just some kind of invitation to fight. You want a karate fight, audience? Because I'll do it. I don't even care. That's a good way to start any conversation. What do you want to? You want a karate fight?
Yeah.
Because there is no prepared response for that question. It's ridiculous.
That's a stupid question.
What do you, yeah. Hey, forget I just asked that, but still, the offer stands.
So we're going to talk about some fun beatdown scenes.
Beatdown moments.
And it's impossible to be comprehensive with something like this. We're just going to scratch the surface.
Or comprehensible.
Yeah.
Apparently.
All right, then.
All right.
Where do we begin? I don't even know.
By. Or are we already done? God, it's like eating French food. I don't even remember starting. We're already done.
So where do we begin? Where do we begin, guys?
Well, I think we can probably begin. Just kind of explain what we're talking about here. A movie Smackdown is just one of those scenes where one character, be it the protagonist or the villain or whatever, just completely owns the other guy and just makes him weep like a little girl.
Yeah, and it might not even be in a good movie or a good action movie.
Usually it's not.
There could be a lame movie that's got one good beatdown moment.
Yeah, there are several movies out there that there's just one scene where like the hero just really just takes it to the other guy and just
emasculates the other guy.
Yeah, just makes him feel like a big wuss.
Yeah, makes you want to be that dude.
As our friend Wilson would say, they'd steal his dignity.
Yeah, exactly. Completely steal his dignity. Chris Wilson does that in different ways.
Take his milk money, steal his girlfriend, and send him crying home to mama.
Yeah, it's a definitive win.
Yes. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I think Sean has a perfect 10, as he always does. And
I actually have like a list. I have a list of like 15, I think. I started making.
Oh, really?
Like,
a perfect 15. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't think it's perfect. It's more like a random 15.
A pretty okay 15.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we have an okay 15 list. We better get going if we got that many to get through.
Man, are we? Yeah, we're just jumping right into it. There's no free talk or anything.
Do it.
You don't even want. Well, Brooks had a movie from the vault. Did you want to like prime us with that?
Sure,
least?
We can do that if you want.
Well, let's have some structure. It's like total anarchy. Just because we're talking about beatdowns.
Well, also, by the way, I mean, before we get into that, we do have a movie from the vault, but we also have some fun personal stories that involve, some pretty significant smackdowns that we were actually part of.
Greg has beat much ass in his time.
We should close out with that. That's a nice tease.
Or just jump in whenever a scene like reminds you.
I have several, so maybe we should.
Absolutely. Whenever there's a scene that just reminds you of a moment from your past, just jump right in.
All right, we'll be freeform with it. But to start things off, my movie from the vault is a good example of a bad movie that's got a lot of good beatdowns in it.
Movies from the vault.
I'm gonna count to 3. Anyone who wants to can leave. Anyone who doesn't is gonna get hurt. 1.
It's called One Man's Justice. It was released in '95, and it stars one of my favorites, the Boz. Brian Bosworth, football
Brian
player
Bosworth.
turned action star, better known from his
Back
movie.
when he was trying to be cool.
Yeah, better known from Stone Cold, which came out previous to this.
Which was
This movie's
not
funny.
good.
If you look it up on IMDb, apparently its original title, theatrical title, if it came out in theaters, was called One Tough Bastard.
Which is totally the title they should have stuck with. What a great name.
I mean, who wouldn't rent that? And if you saw that in the video, One Tough Bastard with the Boss, all right. But they changed it to One Man's Justice. And if you look for it now on Netflix or whatever, that's what you'll find it under. Also, it's apparently also has a AKA title, Norse War. It's bad when a movie has 3 titles on IMDb. That's a sign.
A lot of our Johnny dramas or movies that we mention have a lot of the alternate titles.
Yeah, that's
You don't find that in mainstream movies a lot, but you do find it in the movies we talk about.
You never find it in mainstream movies. This thing apparently was directed by, I don't know how to say this guy's name, Kurt Weimer, who also wrote and directed that movie Ultraviolet with Mila. I thought that was kind of weird.
Really?
And
That wasn't a good movie at all.
He wrote the screenplays for the Thomas Crown Affair and Sphere. Very strange.
Those weren't
Yeah.
good movies either.
And it's got some.
Thomas Crown Affair was okay, but
I think we're picking
Sphere.
up on a pattern here.
Yeah.
You should have stuck with Boz flicks.
If you watch it, if you're a big movie buff, you'll recognize a lot of the faces in it. It's got some horror movie regulars. It's got Bruce Payne, who you'll recognize from one of the Howling movies. I think it was Howling 4, the one where the carnival. Remember? He's a vampire
The
or
Freaks.
something.
I think it was Howling 5.
Well,
The
I don't know.
Freaks. Was that? No, that was Howling 6.
Yeah, definitely Howling
Weirdly
5.
enough, I do know that. That was Howling 6. The Freaks. Which was
God.
was the ultimate Howling movie, by the way. He played the vampire.
Jeff Kober, who I'm going to put into the running as I talked with Sean about this earlier, put into the running for a Johnny Drama Award at some point because he's been in everything.
And I love that guy, too. The only thing that may hold him up is you have to have been a leading man at least once in something, even if it was a TV show.
Well, he was sort of the leading man in The First Power. He was the bad guy.
But yeah, but that doesn't. But being a bad guy, well, there are a lot of loosely kept rules. But I think you do have to have been a leading man of something. And he was more of a leading character in the Kindred the Embrace TV show, because he played the Nosferatu vampire Daedalus.
Oh yeah. Very good. Nerd alert.
Yeah, that's probably a nerd alert. I mentioned the vampire TV show.
Most importantly, though, guys, this. If you're going to rent the movie for one thing, if I haven't sold you yet with The Boz, this marks the acting, or what I believe to be the acting debut of MC Hammer.
And even if it wasn't, that was pretty awesome.
He plays a mafia drug lord crime boss.
He has a great tagline in the movie.
Oh, it's good.
Just relax, let it go.
That he was denied an Oscar nomination for this
Hammer
is shocking to me.
And you didn't mention Bruce Payne also was the bad guy in both of the Dungeons and Dragons movies.
So
that doesn't put him in the running for a Johnny drama.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the blue-lipped guy or whatever. Oh man, but here's some lines from this movie.
I said I'd deliver the guns, and I will. I just need to talk to my sources.
Look around you. Don't you realize the only way you ever gonna talk again is through one of them straight up psychic bitches?
Then I guess I'll be telling you all how your fat black mama is sucking my dick in hell.
One of them straight up psychic bitches. That's quality writing.
Yeah, really. You couldn't have just come up with that on the fly.
But there's a really cool scene though that I like where the Boz comes into this room and it's all these gang dudes in there. He's gonna beat them up, and they all gather around him and he says, "Wait a minute."
A second. "911, I'm at 203 Rose Street. I'm gonna need 5 ambulances right away."
And then he hangs up and beats him.
Yeah, I actually do. That
That's
was
pretty
on
awesome.
my list. That was one of the 15. That was just a great
Sweet.
moment. Where he just called, because how cheesy is that? But that's still pretty awesome.
I mean, how emasculating is that to those dudes?
That they're waiting for him to finish that phone call before he completely destroys them. Hold on a minute, I got to make a call.
And there's a great scene where Bruce Payne kicks Jeff Kober in his man business.
He does.
And he just instantly throws up. I mean, how often do you get to see that?
That was
all
an
over the
awesome
ground.
moment, and it happened instantly. Because his name was Pony. He's like, no one quits my dog and pony show till the pony dies. You understand? Because your name's Pony, right? Awesome.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Whatever. I just kicked you in the nuts. That's what you need to remember.
Man, it's got a lot of good
That guy was
beatdowns in
the
it. A lot
bad
of
guy
good
in
fights.
Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes, too. Bruce
Well,
Payne.
he's the bad guy in all
He is the
kinds of
consummate
stuff.
bad guy.
He just looks sinister, I guess. He does look kind of sleazy.
He does look creepy.
So anyway, one man's justice.
All right, so let's call that one your number 15. What's next on your list?
Well, I've got, as far as some good beatdown moments, I can think of The Substitute
Oh man,
for a
awesome.
couple of good moments.
I've been hoping we would
'Cause
mention
it
this.
not only has some... Tom Berenger in this first Substitute movie was pretty badass.
Oh yeah,
Because there's not only is a moment where he takes control of the class and he has like this sort of monologue where he's like, I'm the warrior chief. And I guess can't imagine if this guy was a substitute teacher and he starts saying that stuff, what would be going through your head? It's like, I'm the merciless god of this universe.
he starts talking about how many
What?
times he's been shot or whatever.
Yeah, really. When I was in the NAM,
Some kid throws something at him. I don't remember. It's a
he
piece of
throws like
paper.
a Coke can and then he grabs it and he scrunches it into a wad and he throws it right back into his forehead.
just instantly,
that's-
like, well, bam.
Yeah, just boo boo boo. And then he gives this warrior chief speech. But that's not the best moment. The best moment of the movie is where all of Mark Anthony, who is the bad guy of the movie, like a Hispanic pop singer Mark Anthony.
Tell me,
is the main
baby
hoodlum
girl, 'cause I
the
need
film.
to know.
Yeah, exactly. Coming in, tell me, baby girl, 'cause I need to know. And he's married to J-Lo or something, I don't know. But anyway, he wasn't doing as good back then, so he was in Tom Berenger, Ernie Hudson action vehicles.
I know. Ernie Hudson's
And
the
he-
best part of
like,
the movie,
he-
man.
No, I could go all on. I love Ernie Hudson.
Hey, don't diss Ernie Hudson now.
He's the principal, and he's showing the substitute Tom Berenger a big wooden paddle. And he's like, I have the kids make these. And I guess it's, the Tom Berenger's thinking, well, you paddle the kids. And then he just picks up the paddle and the karate chops it into 1,000 pieces. It goes, power perceived is power achieved. I'm going to get a bumper sticker that says that.
That is a great T-shirt vibe right there. But the ultimate moment of the substitute happens, like they all like sort of team up on him in the school library, and he kicks their asses in the library, and one by one throws them all out the window. And it's
Doesn't he go like, shh?
exactly when they're all
You're in
trying
the
to talk
library.
tough. He's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this." Like that's like the greatest moment for Tom Berenger ever. Is that movie?
Well, what a setup. He's like here's the setup if you haven't seen the movie. He's like a Green Beret
He's a mercenary
dude who for some reason is dating this high school teacher. And the high school teacher gets beat up or something by her rough student. So he goes in to clean up the school. How an awesome setup.
It's pretty awesome because he covers as a substitute teacher, but he has this whole mercenary team like putting in hidden cameras and secret surveillance equipment and stuff. Like awesome. Man. There were like a ton of sequels with Treat Williams, but they were all crappy. But the first Substitute is awesome.
Oh yeah, Treat Williams is no Tom Berenger.
I know, and I like Treat Williams, but yeah, he is no Tom Berenger.
All right, good choice.
That was an ultimate beatdown, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Anything with Tom Berenger in it, Sniper.
Yeah,
good beatdowns.
He's a good tough guy. He's a gritty dude. Sometimes he's not in good movies, but he is a cool gritty dude. I would like to see him in more
I guess
cool
like
stuff.
Platoon, yeah, for real.
Oh, in the Substitute, I forgot. In the Substitute, when there's a guy who first tries to hire him to do some unsavory business, and he attacks him and makes him poop himself. I forgot all about that.
That's reason enough to rent the movie right there.
When he turns down the job, he makes the guy poop his pants.
Very nice.
Well, he's eating bran cereal the whole time he's talking, man. If you're going to face off with a scary dude like Tom Berenger, don't be eating bran.
He stole that dude's dignity.
Yeah, he completely stole that dude's dignity. You can't say you won an argument that ended with you pooping yourself.
All right, what's next?
Oh, there's a lot of gold in that movie. My next is really my number one, because I think when I think of any one movie that is a total badass movie from start to finish that almost any guy I've ever known agrees with this, it's Tombstone.
Oh, yeah. That's by far my number one as well.
Yeah,
And,
you don't even have to mention a single scene. There's tons of scenes from Tombstone, but
Yeah, the movie's
that movie,
nothing but one-liners.
It should be called Testosterone.
Yeah.
Because that's what Tombstone's all about.
Well, what's interesting about it is that there's really only a few real fights. I mean, it's all just one-liners and intimidation and
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. It's like Humphrey Bogart style badass, because they don't have to fight to show how tough they are. They just say something awesome, and you know that they're so bad you don't even mess with them.
yeah.
Like the ultimate scene is the beginning with him and with Wyatt Earp, with Kurt Russell, who's one of the coolest guys ever, versus Billy Bob Thornton. Like that's the moment where you just like skin that smoke wagon and watch what happens.
Well, that's to me, that's what makes that particular scene so perfect. Is even it's just, I guess, the slang in that scene, it just makes it perfect because it's just like jerk that pistol and go to work, skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
I said throw down. He's like so bad. The whole time the other guy's got a gun and he doesn't, but it's like he knows if he reaches for that gun, he's a dead man. Like that's how bad he doesn't even know he's Wyatt Earp yet. Like that's how bad Wyatt Earp is.
Oh yeah, when
he's like, I don't have to go healed to get the bulge on a tub like you.
Yeah, and when he finally does find out he's Wyatt Earp, that's when he really craps his pants.
And then he just runs away.
Yeah.
Because later on he comes back with the shotgun
and then thanks him for having mercy on him.
Well, that's the greatest moment ever, where he says,
"Thank you."
He says, "Leave the shotgun." He tries to hand it to him. He said, "I said leave it. Like, just set it on the ground.
God.
You don't hand things to me. What's wrong with you?" Like he's so completely undermined at the end of that scene. You may go now, Johnny.
We all wish we were that tough.
Yeah.
Man, you wish you were that tough where a guy could walk
kidding.
up with you at a shotgun and be thanking you for letting him put it on the ground and walk away.
And Doc Holliday's the same in the movie. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were there.
I forgot
You
were
may
there.
go.
You may go."
This actually
That's what makes it
This
great.
actually might be a good time to talk about one of my personal stories. This actually wasn't me, but I wish it was. It was my uncle.
Did you shoot a guy in a saloon?
No. But it takes place at a Civil War reenactment. It's
Yikes.
kind of related.
I like it
So
already.
anyway,
You sure it was a reenactment?
I don't know. It almost wasn't. But anyway, my uncle, who really probably is the toughest guy I know, and he's just kind of an intimidator type of guy.
Besides me.
Of course, Brooks. You and your doll. But anyway.
Besides Brooks, yeah, he is the toughest guy I know.
But anyway, he was a big Civil War reenactor, and then one time I went with him for the weekend, and we were just all like in camp. They had the Civil War encampment, and everybody was in their Civil War era tent and all that around the fire. They were sitting, we were sitting around the fire, and this guy, I guess he got drunk or something.
You were there also?
I was there also.
At the
yeah,
Civil War reenactment.
I was at the Civil War reenactment.
Which you were reenacting the Civil War?
No, I actually didn't march, but my uncle gave me enough clothing to get by and fit in, and I just sort of hung out.
Drinking beer.
That's cool. How old were you at this time?
This was when I was
How old?
about 13, something like that. But anyway, this guy comes up, and I guess he'd been drinking or something, and then, like I said, my uncle has a kind of a reputation for being a tough guy, and he starts talking trash. He's like, "Yeah, I hear you're pretty tough, and why don't you get up?" And
I never get that from people.
Yeah, why doesn't it ever happen to me?
It's just what's kind of funny about it. And I was just sitting there amazed because it was like every movie I'd ever seen in my life. And he's like, "I hear you're pretty tough," and my uncle's like, "Yeah, that's what they say, Well, so why don't you get up and prove it?" And this is the best line ever. And my uncle is just very calm, looks at the guy, goes, "Well, I could, but if we do have to fight, I'm going to stick your face in that fire."
Yikes.
That is a good thing to say.
And that was it. I mean, he just stood there and looked at him. And, my uncle just looked at him with these two dead eyes. Like you knew if he had to get up off that log, he's going to stick that dude's face in the fire.
You should have added that to the line. If I got to get off this log, that adds some flavor.
Grizzled. That's the best one. Damn.
The guy just slinked off. I mean, it was amazing. I mean,
Well, it's one thing to want to be in a fight. It's another thing to want your face put in a fire. I think if at the beginning of a fight, if you told someone the consequence of the fight, that would probably end a lot of fights. That segues it sort of into one of the ones that I remember, my movie moments, which was True Lies, where they have Arnold captured and they have him under sodium pentothal.
Yeah.
And he just kind of calmly tells them how he's going to kill every single one of them. Like, you see this man over there? Like, just every single one. Like, good God. Like, why aren't you running by now? Because he's calmly telling you, and then I will take this scalpel and put it up this man's anus over here. Like, wait, why are you still listening? It's not that interesting anymore. And instantly, just bam, 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 dead.
I like how he's got it all planned out, apparently.
Yeah, because he's already gotten out of the handcuffs. That's the punchline of that. Because my handcuffs, I'm not in them anymore. It's like, holy God. Like,
there's another movie where that happens in the first Charlie's Angels movie. I don't know if you remember that or not, but but she rips.
That's a ripoff of True Lies.
Well, I guess it is, but it was pretty funny.
She does that exactly, that same scene, but it doesn't have the impact coming from Drew Barrymore.
I thought she sold it.
Because if Drew Barrymore told me she was going to kick my ass and do a moonwalk, I wouldn't care.
Might even get a little excited.
If Arnold's like, I'm going to take this scalpel over here and stab you in the middle of the head, and then like, hey, where'd he go? That'd be the way that scene played out. When like I'm asking Arnold what is he going to do, like all of a sudden Arnold's in the tent by himself because Sean isn't there anymore.
I like that same part. His wife says, have you ever killed anyone? He's like, yes, but they were all bad.
They were all bad people. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the perfect action movie thing to say as an action hero. It's like, of course I have, but they had it coming.
Arnold's nothing but beat down, man. Is Commando on your list?
No, because I mentioned True Lies. I'm not going to make it an Arnold list. Arnold has a lot of cool beatdowns, but
I would go with, if you're just
going
to do the cool tough guy stuff, though, I'd have to go with Commando.
Well, he does have that one line. He's like, I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last. I mean, that's.
Remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied.
That is probably the best thing from. They're like, "What'd you do with Sully?" I let him go.
Yeah, that's the best scene ever. He's holding him over with one arm. He's holding his entire body by the legs over this cliff, and he's like, "I'm telling you, Sully, this is my weak arm." That's awesome. How emasculating for him.
Well, that's what you get, man. Come on. Like, if you saw Arnold Schwarzenegger and someone's like, we're going to go mess with that guy, wouldn't you be like, all right, let me know how it goes? And then you'd leave. Yeah. That's how a normal person would do it. But instead, like, that little guy is going to come up to Arnold Schwarzenegger and go back, yeah, and we're going to mess with your daughter and stuff. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm sure I'm already dead.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly what would happen. You're totally not going to go up to that guy and start making trouble.
All right, cool. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to diverge.
No, that's cool.
No, I think that was right on topic, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's move on.
I remember a scene now. This isn't a beatdown so much as a throwdown. Like, this is a two-man fight, and I don't know. Have you guys seen They Live?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I was going to mention something related to that, actually. But
what is funny with that is I was thinking about this scene the other day, and then completely unrelated in a Psychic Blood Brothers moment, my buddy Wilson sent me a picture from that scene on my MySpace page, and it's like Roddy Piper and Keith David in that moment. And I was like, man, you and I, you tapped in, because I've been thinking about that scene because that's an ultimate beatdown moment.
I was thinking about it too, though. How weird. Because I was going to mention the South Park version of it.
I don't even know if I've seen the South Park version.
That's, Jimmy and Timmy, the crippled kid and Jimmy or whatever, they fight and they reenact that scene exactly to the dialogue and everything. I mean, everything.
I never even realized that.
Oh, really?
I knew they fought, but I didn't know that was a takeoff.
Oh, man. Watch it again and you'll see. It's that exact scene. I mean, every punch, every sound, everything.
Well, I'm a Carpenter fan, And this, to me, is a cool Carpenter movie because it, at the heart, is a really cool science fiction story because he realizes the aliens have taken over the world and there's like a secret world beneath what we see.
Yeah, it's a really creepy idea.
But in the middle of this really sophisticated story, there is just a smackdown, drag-out fight between Roddy Piper and Keith David that ultimately is the typical scene. It's a typical scene in a sci-fi movie because he's trying to get him to wear these glasses just so he'll see. But he's so vehemently opposed to this that they get involved in like the biggest fight I've ever seen in a movie. Over whether or not Keith David is going to wear these glasses. He can wear these glasses for 1 second and stop this fight from happening, but no, he will. I mean, they're like kicking nuts. They're stomping faces. There's like, I mean, it is like the worst fight I've ever seen in a movie over whether or not Keith David is gonna put on that pair of glasses. Even down to like Roddy Piper going, "Wear the glasses! Put on the glasses!" All right, my next pick would be from Army of Darkness, which is also a movie that to me has a lot of fun, slapsticky beatdown. But especially, I'm thinking of like Ash versus Bad Ash, because there's a moment where Ash is split into two
when they first meet, or at the big climactic battle at the end.
Well, I'm thinking of like in the windmill when Bad Ash splits away. There's a great moment where he's like trying to start crap with Ash, and then finally Ash just pulls out the shotgun and shoots him in the face.
Little goody two-shoes.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
I mean, that's a good end to a scene. He's just like, good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. Those are words to live by right there. It's like, if you're going to split away, you want to make sure you're the half that got the shotgun.
And then at the end, he cuts some of the pieces and throws the sack of parts into the grave.
Oh, they have an awesome bed. The Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 also are just full of cool fight scenes and great lines. Because even at the beginning where he fights the Deadite and he crawls out of the pit and he's like, "Who wants some?" Like no one will mess with him after he's killed a zombie in the middle of the pit. Even though clearly 100 guys could kill Ash, but no one's going to touch him.
But I like it. He throws the head down, the head looks up and it's like, "You will never retrieve the Necronomicon, blah, blah, blah." And Ash is like, "Hey, what's that on your face?" He's like, "What?" And then dirt, pow, hits his face because he's shoveling dirt onto him.
Because he's burying him. That's what makes Ash the ultimate horror hero, is that, you know, all horror movies have this tragic element where basically stupid people run into these surreal things and don't know how to deal with them. Evil Dead is the first horror series where you had a guy who was a somewhat regular guy, ran into this supernatural thing, and he started to adapt. It's like, okay, they won't die, so what do? I'll cut them up. Okay, because even if they don't die, when they're all cut up, they can't do anything. And that's when he started to develop the one-liners, because it's like after a while, it's like, you know, just an everyday piece of business that you have to deal with someone who won't die that's trying to kill you.
Well, the tape tells him to do that.
Ash becomes a superhero. If you listened to a tape that told you to cut people up, you wouldn't necessarily take to it. But Ash starts to see the necessity, and he works out a system. Well, some of us cut people up anyway, but I mean, I'm just talking about a regular person, you know. If you haven't dismembered someone, you know, you don't know what it's like. Well, I'm gonna have so.
All right then.
Yeah, moving right along from that awkward thing you just said. Okay, my next movie, you gotta see this, is The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
No, old school Clint Eastwood, it's all badass, but Outlaw Josie Wales has got a lot of good moments. But there's a great scene in it and it's near the end, where a bounty hunter comes looking for him.
I'm looking for Josie Wales.
That'd be me.
You're wanted, Wales.
I reckon I'm right popular. You a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy.
It's just, that's such an awesome moment.
I think Clint Eastwood is probably Well, I guess between him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, probably king of the one-liners.
Yeah, and I think to me the two toughest guys in the world are Clint Eastwood and Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, Humphrey's a good one too. But Humphrey was more. I don't recall him ever doing like little snappy one-liners like that. He would be more.
Oh man, Maltese Falcon was full of them.
Oh, he had some awesome. That's on this list. There's a scene where he just slapped the hell from Peter Lorre, and the guy's like complaining. He's like, "When I slap you, you'll take it and like it." It's just how emasculating is that to have a guy beating the crap out of you, just going, "You'll take it and like it."
He's had so many good one-liners in his film noir days.
I just remember him being tough generally. No real intimidation lines.
Oh, he has some great lines.
There's like that part where the guy comes up and says something threatening to him or whatever, and he says, "People lose teeth talking like that." That's a good line.
The cheaper the hood, the gaudier the patter. But Bogart's had a ton of great lines.
Yeah, I think he was in The Big Sleep too, and the guy comes up.
He was in him and Lauren Bacall were in The Big Sleep.
He sneaks up behind a guy, and the guy has his gun out. And he sneaks up behind and sticks his gun in his bag and takes it. And he's like, "People are always giving me guns." It's good stuff.
Well, okay. I capitulate then. I guess I just don't remember the one-liners. I do remember him being one tough hombre.
Oh, you got to see some old school Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart
I've seen a lot of his movies.
You talk about the tough guy with the one-liners? That's Humphrey Bogart. Everybody to this day is still just trying to be
Maltese
him.
Falcon is the one. If you guys want to go, I mean, Casablanca is a great movie, but I enjoy Maltese Falcon more.
Maltese Falcon is definitely the toughest of all cool movies.
So
by far, like I like Casablanca too, but Maltese Falcon.
So check it out, y'all.
And if you want to read it, it's a great book. You know what that kind of reminds me of? There was this Bill Murray movie called Quick Change. Did you ever see where they're bank robbers trying to escape?
I remember it. I don't think I ever saw it though.
And there's a moment where there's a good moment where they accidentally like walk into like sort of a mob pickup, and the guy comes in behind him and he's like, "This ain't my dick, you back." And Bill Murray's just like, "Well, that's a relief."
What kind of horrible line is that? Who would say that?
Oh, I'm so relieved to find out it's just a gun. I was actually afraid that it was, in fact.
Oh, all right then.
Okay, with that, let's move on.
Where are we?
Next.
Yeah, what happened? Oh, you already did the Maltese Falcon. We're doing them all out of order because as we talk, I start mentioning movies that I already had on the list later on.
Well, that's cool.
Well, that's okay.
Here's a cool movie that takes after film noir that has a lot of cool tough guy stuff in it, which is Sin City.
Oh, yeah. That's got a lot of great lines.
Which is you could take pretty much Mickey Rourke throughout that whole movie is tough as nails. I loved Mickey Rourke. That whole movie could have been about his character alone.
Oh, no kidding, man.
But as far as like nice badass moments, he was just cool. And then he ends up fighting Elijah Wood, which throws everybody off. It's like, wait a minute, this is the toughest guy in the world, Elijah Wood. But there's a good moment between Clive Owen and Benicio del Toro, who's a bad cop, where he comes up to him in the bathroom and he's like, "You just made a big mistake. You forgot to flush." And he sticks his head in the toilet. Like, oh, that's just all wrong.
Yeah, he stole his dignity, man.
Well, that's
how you do it.
The secret of a cool tough guy moment is stealing the other guy's dignity. Because two guys can beat the hell from each other all day long, and they're equal. But if you make the other guy look small, you win. That's the secret of being a tough guy, especially when you're clearly outclassed but still remain tough. Talk tough even though you know you're going to die. There's a lesson to be learned in real life about that, I think. If you maintain your composure even when people think they've got the better of you, you're still winning.
All the way up to the point where they kill you.
Well, I mean, then that's what they're going to have to do.
And then you go out looking cool.
But from a tough guy perspective,
what else you got?
I got the space shuttle taking off outside my apartment.
What?
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm the only person hearing that, so whatever. I'm sorry, I just took a handful of muscle relaxers.
That's practicing your rear naked choke all night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard work.
I've been watching Asian chicks make out all night on YouTube, and that worked out pretty well.
All right.
Okay, here's a good one, and you could pick any moment from these movies, but I'm going to specifically mention Rocky V, because as far as beatdowns, one of the things I always loved about Rocky V was he didn't get roped into another boxing match. He actually doesn't go for a rematch. but the guy ends up irritating him so bad that he ends up having a fist fight with Tommy Gunn out in the street. A regular, good old-fashioned street fight, just to put this kid in his place.
Very nice.
And plus it has the moment with Burgess Meredith where he's like, get up, you son of a bitch. Mickey loves you. Because I could think, if you were in a fight and you started losing, if you could just imagine Burgess Meredith going, get up, you son of a bitch. Mickey loves you. You'd probably have what's left for one more round.
I barely remember that movie, Rocky
Why does
V.
everyone forget the classics? Rocky V stood out for me just because it didn't fit the formula of the other movies. He doesn't go back in the ring.
Did you ever see 6, the last one?
No, and everyone says it's awesome, and I have not gotten around to seeing it. Like, I have heard nothing but good things. I won't say that I haven't.
Well, I mean, I kind of thought it might be worth watching, but I just didn't get around.
I like Rocky. I just feel bad for Sylvester
I'm telling you,
Stallone
man,
that
he
he
needs to do a
can't come up
sitcom.
with new movie ideas. He's going to do another Rambo. I've heard this already, that he's planning to do another Rambo.
Don't try to relive past glory. Do a sitcom, man. If you do a sitcom, you'll reinvent yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Fade with dignity. Do a sitcom.
Why isn't he running for office?
Because he wasn't in Predator. If he'd been in Predator...
Lower taxes and free milk for everybody.
All right.
Maybe.
All right.
Well, I like the campaign that you're building. Maybe you should give him a call. I've got a platform already. Free milk for everybody. Yeah, Adrian.
Adrian.
When I was fighting Apollo Creed,
Yeah.
Like, that didn't really happen, Sly.
It's on tape. You can watch a DVD.
What you call hell, I call home.
Speaking of Apollo Creed, tell me you've got some Carl Weathers stuff on your list.
Carl Weathers. I could mention Action Jackson.
Yeah,
I
man.
haven't mentioned. I do like Action Jackson has some nice retarded lines where he's like, "You nearly ripped that boy's arm off." He's like, "Well, he had a spare." That's Action Jackson's toughest line. How do you like your ribs? And then he shoots the guy in the chest with like a rocket launcher. Action Jackson is pretty awesome.
Oh man.
How do you barbecue, huh? How do you like your ribs? And just murders him mercilessly.
Well,
this isn't even an action movie.
he had it coming. I'm sure.
Yeah, and he hooked up with Vanity. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Action Jackson.
No way, man. What's wrong with Action Jackson? Who said there was anything?
And he squares off with Craig T. Nelson. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Coach?
Coach was a badass back in the day. Yeah, that's how he got his start, was doing those, playing the heavy in movies.
That's true. And then he had a sitcom. That's why Sly shouldn't do it.
What?
Okay, back to the action. Like a real action
Back
movie.
to
We
the
got to keep it
action.
going.
I've got one for you that you probably haven't seen, but you ought to. And that's The Crippled Masters.
I think I have seen
This
that. It's like a
this
kung fu movie?
is, well, it is a kung fu movie, but it is a kung fu movie starring a man with no arms who teams up with a man with no legs.
I have seen that.
That's new to me.
It's got some really innovative choreography and stuff in it, though.
It is totally awesome and totally weird. And up to the final sequence, man, when because that man with no arms, man, he can handle a bow staff, no doubt. And there's like these scenes where the guy with no legs is hopping around on top of the bow staff where the bad guy's trying to get him off of it. It's like, it's wild, man. You got to see The Crippled Masters.
We got to do a whole episode about kung fu movies at some point, because I wouldn't include any of those in this, because that's like a whole different kind of beatdown.
Yeah, but the Crippled Master stands out. Like, I didn't mention the Lone Wolf and Cub movie, like the Shogun Assassin, because that's ultimate badass, but I couldn't think of a particular scene. It's just the
I would
whole
agree with
movie.
that probably kung fu movies are where they take it to the next level, where the fight actually does break out and get to be.
Yeah, there's usually not a lot of good one-liners. It's usually just awesome fights.
Well, that's true. There are no good one-liners in kung fu movies, but there are some good beatdowns. I mentioned The Crippled Masters because it stands apart. It is definitely different and weird.
Cool. Now mention something that works for our theme.
Okay.
That actually reminds me of another one before we get going, mainly because it's a comedy. Did you mention or think about Crocodile Dundee? There's several little smackdown moments in that one. One I remember in particular is where this guy mugs this lady, and she's carrying a bag of groceries, and she drops the groceries, and the guy is running away with her purse, and Crocodile Dundee picks up a can of tomatoes or whatever, and throws it and just nails the guy in the head like 100 yards, not 100 yards away, but probably 40 yards away, you know.
Lobs it. Yeah.
And just throws it and pop, hits him on the head.
Gotta mention the super classic Dundee, that's not a knife line. Like some dude pulls a knife on you and you're not even intimidated at all.
Swing!
I always thought that, remember?
That's pretty tough.
Remember when they did that Jason movie where Jason goes to Manhattan? I always thought about Crocodile Dundee when I was like, that's not a knife. And he's got like a machete or something. Because Jason takes Manhattan. Only 10 years after the Muppets took Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan's just, it hasn't built its defense up at all.
That's one of the few horror movies I've probably seen in my life. And it was pretty good because there was that one scene where that guy's like, come on, let's fight. And Jason just hits him and knocks his head clean off.
which just answers the question why you don't fight Jason. Because he's like, he does that same thing too, where it's like the pugilist stance where he's like, come on, I'll fight you with one hand behind my back. Like, dude, you don't want to box Jason. Look at him. He's made of decaying flesh. He's got a machete. I mean, come on. I mean, I admire your spunk. I don't want to get in the way of your spunk. Because that's your. I like where your head's
You know what he
at.
was doing, man. He was doing that thing you said earlier about if you're gonna go, say the tough thing.
I guess if you know if you're cornered, sure. But if you have a chance to run away, I want to make myself clear here, folks. If there's a way to run away and get clear completely, do that. It's only when you know Jason has got you cornered and you can't get away, then make a show of it. But if you could run away, climb down the fire escape screaming like a little girl and live, do that.
All right. Beatdowns.
Beatdowns, USA, TV and my dinner, girl.
Beat down.
Okay.
All right.
What else we got?
Down. Man, also in PD Wheatstraw, Dolomite makes a guy poop himself.
Yo, man, there's nothing but awesome stuff in all the Rudy Ray Moore movies.
If you make a guy lose control of his bowels, you want to fight.
No doubt.
That is the truth. Because you don't want to kick a moist ass. Like, if you've reached that point, then you're going to take that as a W. And if they've reached that point, they're definitely going to do the best they can to excuse themselves. Because if a guy wants to keep fighting after that, you need to get out of there.
All right, then. Are we? Do we have more? What number are we on? I've lost track completely.
I don't even have numbers. I do have another one.
Go for it.
But we talked about this before. In Shaft in Africa, Shaft does have a naked bow staff fight with a guy. Where, and unfortunately, really, if you're watching the movie, you do see a little swing around floppage.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
a
little.
Where he swings around real quick, and you're like, no!
Yeah, nothing little about that floppage.
He's shrunk down to 20 inches of that.
Shaft. All the Shaft movies, man. Especially 1 and 3. Have some great lines in them.
Oh, yeah, the Shaft trilogy. We ain't talking about Sam Jackson. We're talking about the real original Shaft movies. It's my duty to please that booty.
Quit playing with yourself, will you? There's nothing but goodness in Shaft, man. Some good stuff. He throws the dude out the window.
That's some cold shit. Throwing my man Leroy out the window. Just picked my man up and threw him out the goddamn window.
Picked him right up and threw him right out the goddamn window.
But listen, Snow White. Me and you gonna tangle sooner or later. Did you hear what I say?
Why don't you stop playing with yourself, Willie? You ain't gonna do shit.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah. The only other movie I have that you guys probably also haven't seen is a David Mamet movie called Heist. And if you like tough guy lines, this is a movie to watch. This movie's got a lot of cool tough guy lines. But there's one in particular at the very end where Gene Hackman's got the drop on Danny DeVito, who is the main bad guy, and Danny DeVito's like, "Don't you want to hear my last words?" And Gene Hackman's like, "I just did."
That's awesome.
But it's full of a lot of great moments and lines like that.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
If you like tough guy movies, you should get Heist, because that's all he's trying to do with that movie.
That's a good line. I like that.
I do want to make one.
Well, that's great.
I do want to make one quick honorable mention to Indiana Jones. The one scene where he shoots the guy.
Sure, total badass moment.
That's one of the inspirations for this show is the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where he's chasing after his girlfriend. They just kidnapped her and everything, and then all of a sudden this big, huge guy comes out of the crowd, and he's wearing all black, and he's swinging the sword around, getting ready to chop Indy's head off, and Andy just looks annoyed, pulls a pistol, and shoots him.
That scene also apparently in real life inspired by poop in the pants. How ironic.
Well, yeah, that's actually another one of those things where I say good movies are made by accident, because the only reason really why they did that was because Harrison Ford was too sick to fight. He'd gotten hold of something bad. Dysentery or something. And he was just too weak and didn't feel like doing it. So they said, well, instead of just doing this fight that we got scheduled, why not just pull a gun and shoot him?
Yeah,
movie history.
That's a
right
good
there.
example of what I'm always talking about in limitations making innovation, because that's a classic movie moment.
I got a beatdown that's I don't know if you guys would consider it interesting. It's not from a movie though; it's from a TV show.
Oh, I was about to say, was this the beatdown that I gave you like last week? But anyway.
No, what beatdown did you give me? I don't remember that at all. No, but in Family Guy, they've got an ongoing bit that they've done throughout all of the seasons now, where Peter, the main character, and this guy in a chicken suit keep getting in fights. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
I've seen one of the episodes where that
Well, it's happened 3 times now. I mean, it starts off where the guy in a chicken suit's outside of a chicken restaurant, and he gives Peter a coupon, and Peter goes in and tries to use the coupon. They're like, oh, this coupon's expired. He turns around, he's like, you son of a bitch. And they start this horrible fight, and it just ranges all the way across the city. And then in another episode, like a season or 2 later, Peter's just talking in the yard, and then the chicken comes out of nowhere and pow right into him, and then just picks up right where it left off.
That's the one I've seen. That's what makes it better, because I'd never seen the first episode, so that made no sense to me. When I
at the end of the first one, he beats him, and he looks like he's dead, and he leaves, and the chicken's eyes open, so he's not dead. And then in the second one, he attacks them, and it's just crazy. They end up at the airport, and they reenact a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, oddly enough, where the chicken gets killed by the propeller. But then, of course, the chicken, his little fist closes, so he knows he's still alive. And then the third one, Peter's in his kitchen, and the chicken just comes through the kitchen window out of nowhere and attacks him, and they end up in the sewers fighting an alligator. What makes this fight cool, and why I mention it, is because it ends with an actual rear naked choke. There you go.
That brings it around full circle.
He actually pulls one off onto the chicken. So if you want to see what it looks like, go YouTube.
He actually pulls one off onto the chicken.
He actually chokes the chicken.
He actually choked the chicken and pulled one off.
Rear naked chokes the chicken. So there you have it. That's
awesome. See, it's nothing weird at all. We're just talking about regular fighting moves.
All that stuff's on YouTube, though. If you guys want to see the violence.
Course. If you want to see a rear naked chicken choke, if you want to just see Asian chicks making out, that's fine. Well, actually, if you want to talk about the Family Guy, there is an awesome beatdown where Brian the dog owes Stewie some money.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Where he just beats him up horribly. He's like,
tired of you ducking me, man.
I'm tired of you ducking me, man. And he comes in, he's like pushing his head in the toilet, beating him. He throws him a towel. He's like, clean yourself up.
It's so horribly violent.
The best. How much does that mustache cost? You got money for fake mustaches? How much does that cost? Like 38 cents. He just shoots him in the kneecap.
That's one of my favorites.
You ducking me, man. We still say that sometimes at work.
He use a blowtorch on him or sets him on fire
or something. With a flamethrower. Oh, yeah. Like, all right, let's go to the bank. like for like 10 minutes, these horrific beatdown moments.
You set me on fire.
You're a psycho. Clean yourself up. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Well, let's get to the real life stuff, because that's what people have been waiting on. Go ahead.
But you actually had an altercation over a pool table.
Yeah, that actually did happen.
Classically, that's a classic action movie moment.
Okay, folks, I grew up in the small town, right? And apparently there was this so-called gang that formed. I forget what they were called, the Crew or something they called themselves. But
the Fluffies.
Scuttlebutts, by any chance?
No, not the Scuttlebutts. But anyway, they caused a little bit of trouble, I guess, around town. They were vandalizing and stuff like that. And anyway, a bunch of them came into our local hangout, little pool hall arcade that we hung out in, and started causing trouble and just being jerks, and a fight broke out, and not caused by me. I didn't I didn't do anything to start it, but
I did finish it.
But anyway, I was
taught.
playing pool at the time, and I actually broke a pool cue and used the thick end of it and popped a guy right across the face with it.
Yikes.
That's totally Seagal, dude. That's pretty awesome.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, after I thought about it, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, it was just kind of like, bam, snap, and whoosh, and just popped the guy right across the face. And
You've actually done something that I've wanted to do in my life that haven't been able to do, which is be involved in a bar brawl.
Yeah. I don't want any part of that.
Because you don't see that. That's a classic bar brawl where you actually got to smack a guy with a pool cue and got away with it. Like, it was full bar brawl rules.
Did he come up and tap you on the shoulder before the fight and go, I don't like you?
Yeah.
No, this was like, these guys were, coming in the building. They were coming in the building and they were like picking up pool tables, like people were using them and like making all the balls go to one end and unplugging the games and just kind of generally being jackasses.
What the hell? These guys were like Last Dragon. I remember that. Were these like show enough thugs.
Yeah, show enough.
You grew up in a total 80s kind of small town.
It was like a Cobra Kai kind of thing, these guys come in just starting trouble for no reason
at all.
And,
so you had a moment.
Yeah.
I'm envious of that
I got my one badass lick in. You
get to smack a guy with a pool cue. That was awesome.
Did it hurt the guy?
Of course it hurt the guy. You got hit in the face with a pool cue.
It'd be awful. The way to end the story is actually he spent 7 months in intensive care.
I know. That guy still eats out of a straw to this day.
He still has an eye.
They call that guy Puddinhead. That's pretty awesome. You also got you were in a high-speed car chase once when you were delivering pizzas.
I forgot about that one.
Man, Greg's like a real-life action hero.
Greg has some action moments, and that is the truth.
No, I'm not. That's what's funny. It's just like these weird things just happen to me from time to time. But yeah, I did get, when I was delivering pizzas in college, I had a guy come after me, try to run me off the road. I guess to steal my pizza money, I suppose. But he tried to come around me and try to like pull his car over onto my truck and everything. And I did the same thing to him, run him off into a ditch.
Yikes.
See, that's pretty awesome. None of this stuff has ever happened to me.
I think you've accidentally killed like 4 people. From the sounds of your stories.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Greg. You should probably lay low. You're probably wanted for murder. You do have all the cool moments, Greg. I don't know what happened.
Well, I think my fighting days are over. I mean, I definitely don't go looking for that stuff.
Sometimes trouble looking for you.
Yeah.
Well, we have definitely got to do another one of these episodes because you mentioned a second ago Steven Seagal, and I was like, man, I didn't even think about Seagal. There's like 100 movies.
He doesn't have as many awesome beatdowns as you would think, though, because I did think about him, and I didn't think of anything except for the pool cue, except for the Bobby Lupo. That's the only good scene he has. His only good beatdown movie is what is it? Out for Justice.
Oh yeah, is that the one where he's the cop, the Bobby Lupo
where he
one?
is the Italian cop in the vest and beret.
Oh yeah, man, I like when he's holding his badge up in the bar and he's like, "This is your prize."
Because the guy's like, "You ain't nothing without that badge." He's like, "Well, come take it. This is your prize."
And then he just kills everybody in the bar. He like throws a pool ball at somebody. It's a pool situation too.
Well, that's why I thought of him, because he's the king of like break a pool cue into 2 pieces and then use it as 2 different sticks on people.
Stick fight.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, y'all. Well, we've had some fun beatdown stuff going on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should do this again. It's always fun to talk about people getting horribly, horribly injured.
I think we could do another whoop-ass episode. It's always fun to talk about beating people up.
So we will do this again because, like I said at the beginning, this is just scratching the surface. Obviously, I mean it's
just like the 80s. We promised another 80s episode that we will end up doing at some point, and now we promise at some point we'll do another beatdown episode.
And if you don't come back to listen to it, I won't stick your face in the fire.
Yeah, stick your face in the fire.
I don't have a fire handy, but I will start one.
But I will make a fire while you watch. You understand me?
You sit down. I'm going to get some kindling. Don't move.
You can't even begin to imagine the feeling of watching a man make a fire that your face is going to be in.
I'll make you build the fire, then I'll stick your face in it.
I'm going to hand you 2 sticks, and you're going to rub them together real fast.
Stoke that.
Well, thanks for listening, y'all. This is TV Ate My Dinner. You can check us out at tvatemydinner.com. That's where you'll find the Dolph episode that we're talking about, and lots of the 80s episode, all these other episodes that we've referenced. You can also check out darkcrazy.com. That's Sean's publishing site. He's got a lot of those perfect 10 lists on there that we talked about earlier. You can check Greg out on MySpace. MySpace /
GregStarks.com.
Yeah, you don't have GregStarks.com.
I do indeed have GregStarks.
Oh, is that just your resume?
No, it goes on my MySpace page right now.
Okay, I was going to say, you could check his resume out if you're looking to hire Greg. No, check out MySpace. Sean has a MySpace, Greg has a MySpace, and TV Ate My Dinner has a MySpace. So it's easy enough to find. GregStarks.com.
For all the Starkies out there.
Yeah, for the scuttlebutts. Feedback at TV Ate My Dinner is the email address. Send us your comments, your questions, your show suggestions. That's what I particularly want to hear from people about. I want to hear things that they would like us to tackle. Thanks for listening, y'all. And I keep saying y'all. I got to break that out of my system. Thanks for listening, you guys.
You all.
We'll see you later. Until then, my name is Brooks.
I'm Sean.
And I'm going to kick your ass.
That's Greg. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
DogCrazy.com